or as many people don't know, Caroline Rushe, which is your name. Everyone knows you as either Crazy Caroline or Kaza.
Kaza, yeah. But the two, I've been called a lot worse than those two now, to be honest. So I'll accept either. And yeah, it's great to be here.
We know each other from online.
Yeah.
Which we may address later on.
We had a mini little row, but we were over it.
A mini tiff, which we'll actually get to in the end. But
yes.
one of we've ironed out.
We have. We've hugged and made up and the whole lot.
There's a bit of miscommunication as well. But look, it's all about ironing things out. And I wouldn't have you here if we hadn't ironed things out.
Exactly.
Which we'll chat about that at the end. But Caroline, I suppose for me as well, up until meeting you, and people listening were like, oh, that's that, as you say, crazy Caroline one, right? She's always out there having a laugh, doing these funny try-on hauls. You've got your very successful Kaza. But behind it all, I want to know about like the Caroline Rushe that people don't know. I don't want to know about Crazy Caroline today or Kaza. I just want to know about who Caroline Rushe is, where she grew up, and what was it like?
So, 80s kid, grew up, we were poor, like, we didn't have any money, like, it was a poor home that we were in. And until, actually, I went to therapy, I used to think I had a great childhood. I remember going to the counsellor and he was like, how's your childhood? I had an amazing childhood. Absolutely amazing. And he was like, really? And I'm, yeah. I suppose, like, what took me to therapy then was all the stuff that happened to me and as a child. And, you know, anyone can be poor, I suppose, and anyone can not have money, or, like, I didn't have my own bed when I was growing up, imagine. We were just talking about it the other day. I didn't have my own bed to sleep in. So I used to have to find a bed to kind of slip in and kind of go tops and toes with one of my brothers or sisters, like. We didn't have doors in our bedrooms. We didn't have wardrobes. We didn't have anything. I remember being at school one time and they were looking for people to put food into this basket for people that weren't well off. And I remember bringing in a tin of beans, and that Christmas, the basket arriving at our door. And I was like, it's just mad to think. I was like, we're actually that poor. But I suppose 80s, you were kind of, there was a lot of drinking, and my father was a massive drinker. Still is, to be honest, and definitely affects you for life. Somebody that drink just takes over someone's mind, and you know, you probably know, Brenda, like parts of it, like it's an addiction, but it's an addiction that he never got over. And what he did, like, in our house, and so he'd drink, he'd go to work and go and drink all the money in the pub, and we'd have no money for food. My mum had a child late in life, and so, like, when I was 9, handed a newborn and said, there you go. Mum, you have to go back to work. So we were left with a newborn. So I was 9, Lorna was 11, and Grania was 7. And that we minded him. And I mean, I wouldn't give a cash to my children at that age. Like, never mind a newborn baby, but that's the way it was. But I suppose we kind of got on with it a lot, and we dealt with it. I suppose it was further along in my life, like when I got married and my husband would have a couple of drinks. My husband would come in after having a couple of drinks, and the trigger would go off. I would literally lose the plot. And we had so many rows over it. He's like, I can't understand what's wrong with you. Why are you so triggered by alcohol? Why are you so triggered by me? It was when he came in the door. When he came in that front door at the house, I just lost it. And we couldn't work out why. And I suppose it caused so much fights in my own home with my husband. It cost, you know, because I can't go out because you're getting triggered. But it was because my dad used to come home drunk, and he used to come in and beat us. And it was like I was back in that spot right again. But I often think, how does your brain bring you back to that point? The trigger of it, it's just crazy. And my younger sister, she was never beaten up and she didn't have the same triggers. And then I was like, why is she having this trigger and I'm not? I suppose, like, and the big thing when we were at home is we wanted out. We wanted to move out of that house like as fast as possible. Like my mother, like she's passed, she was the most amazing woman. She worked 2 jobs sometimes trying to feed us, she'd 4 children, like trying to feed us, trying to push us through school, I had no friends. I was bullied massively. But I think I look back now and I think I was so affected by my home life. Why would anyone want to be friends with me? Because I was really harmed by it.
Do you think that they didn't want to be friends with you because you came from a poor family, or was it that did they know about you were getting beaten up? Was that secret?
I think no, that was a secret. Never. I've. There's so few people that know about that in my life because it was just embarrassing. You feel embarrassed. You feel that you are the problem. That it was your fault. Like I remember one time, he was beating me, and my neighbour was looking at the letterbox, a friend of mine, and I just was so embarrassed, like that this was happening to me in front of my friend.
When he was beating you, were you trying to defend yourself, or would that make things worse?
Oh yeah, it would make it worse. You took what you were got, and you just prayed the following day he wouldn't come home as drunk. And my younger sister then, we'd be so, like he might come in and he could come in a real happy drunk and he'd be and spinning his leg round chairs and he used to be the happiest man ever, but you didn't know what one you were going to get. And that was the biggest battle. And I think if he came home and he wasn't too bad, my younger sister, she'd be like, go up to bed there, because he'd fall asleep on the couch. And I'm like, please, don't trigger him. Don't cause a fuss here, because, there'd be consequences. So, like, we kept it all in, but we never really spoke about it as a family. We never dealt with it as a family. It just got swept under that big, massive rug, thinking, put it under there now and pretend everything is happy. And you convince yourself everything is happy. You convince yourself you have an amazing childhood, like I did for years. But I think having children myself then triggered me, because I was saying, oh my God, how would you do that to your child, your own blood? And after my second baby, he was about a year old, went back to work. And I remember driving home from work, and I had collected the 2 lads, and I remember felt like I was drowning under pressure. Like I can't cope. My husband just started a new business. I was obviously working, 2 children. There was something different. I just didn't feel right. Every night I'd wake up, I'd go in, check, I would feel my throat was closing up. I'd say my throat's closing up. I was saying this to my husband, he'd be like, what's wrong with you? All anxiety, and I didn't realise. And then I used to come home from work and I'd have to scrub out all the cups that were in the cupboard, because I used to think somebody would come in and plant poison in the cups. I mean, when I say it now, I think, Jeannie Mac, like how not? Like I feel, holy God, what is going on there? And it just spiraled out of control, where I wasn't able to leave the house. I got so anxious that I wasn't able to leave the home. I wasn't able to mind my children. I wasn't able to do anything.
How many years was this?
Colin is 10, for about 9 years now. And I kept getting flashbacks in my head of when I was younger. And I kept shaking my head going, stop coming into my head. I don't want to know this. But it's just mad the way your memories stay in your head and then they'll come out every so often. Like when I had the children and it was like, I was a child and what happened to me, and I lost my whole childhood and lost everything. Like I couldn't be a child because I had to have a newborn at 9 to try and raise him while my mother worked 2 jobs because he was in the pub. So you just lose all that childhood. You lose so much of your life. And I think why I'm a bit crazy, because I think I'm kind of reliving a bit of childhood at the moment and be like, dressing up and having the laugh, because I feel like I've lost so much of that time in my life. And no, we never spoke about it. Our neighbours never said anything. Obviously that time when my neighbour saw me, but it was the 80s, no one said anything, no one did anything.
And did your mum know that it was happening?
She did, but she'd so much to control. Like it was very difficult for her to kind of.
Of course.
Listen, it was back in the 80s. No one left their husband.
No.
You know, it wasn't something. Oh, I'm going to leave my husband. Like nowadays, I'd be gone with my 2 children under my arm and be running out that door.
Should divorce referendum, what is it, only since 1994?
Like people.
And there was so much. I remember that I was only 9.
Really?
And there was so much about, like, is it divorce in Ireland because of the Catholic Church as well. And you can understand why your mother stayed in the marriage and having to work the 2 jobs. And would he have just spent his time in the pub?
Well, he'd go to work and then come home and go straight to the pub. Like when the pubs back then were all like, it was such a thing to do. Like nowadays, there's no one in the pub in the day. But now, back then, they were all in the pub. Like, and my mother was at home, obviously working, rearing us. Like he had a car, but she used to have to. We used to have to walk to school. She'd have to. She would just carry all the shopping home. I'd go up and carry all the briquettes home. The butter vouchers. Do you remember the butter? Did you ever hear that? Yeah, we used to have to go up and try and get food for the butter vouchers. Didn't want butter. So. And you know what? It's being poor isn't the worst thing. It shows you an awful lot about life. But it's just the other side of it that was so difficult and was so harming. And the other thing was that we knew we were poor. When my children come to me now and say, I want a robot, I never say we can't afford it. I'll say, you're not getting it. Because back then, now I'm saying, I don't want them to feel adult worries. You should never do that. But only and you know who I'm learning from is my own husband. Because I remember saying at one time, my husband goes, you can't say that to children. And I'm like, why not? And he's like, that's an adult worry. He had a lovely upbringing and he just is be like, oh my God. I mean,
sees the world differently.
Oh, he does. And but I love the way he can say, no, listen, that's not, and I'm like, I look now and go, you're right. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
But it's because I was brought up and we knew we were poor. You should never know how much money you have. You should just live and be happy. And if you had, I've been at my happy when I've had nothing. I've been at my happiest when I have money. For me, money doesn't even come into it. Like, currently I wouldn't even know I have. My husband looks after everything and I'm just like happy. If I go into Penny's and pick up a few bits and is where I'm happiest. I don't need a bloody Louis Vuitton handbag to make me happy. But I like at the time when I started to become unwell, I was extremely materialistic. I was like, I remember getting a credit card. I remember I went down. This was the start of my decline. I bought 9 coats in one day. Like, who needs 9 coats?
They all from the same brand or same shop?
No, they were all from the Crescent, all different shops. And
was it just because you could?
I could, but it was just, it was kind of, what I was trying to do was I was trying to make myself happy with shopping. And I think there's a lot of people out there that we try and make ourselves happy by shopping, but there is no happiness in the end of that pennies bag, I tell you. And now I know that. I still enjoy shopping, but I don't buy to try and make myself happy. I buy because I want something. And I do think a lot of women, there is something we need to look at and say, okay, there's something, we're not, you get the bag and you're like, I don't even know what I bought. Am I happier? No, you're not happier. But this whole thing about being, I'm going to be happy when I get that car, I'm going to be happy. And I used to be like that. And when I started my decline in my mental health, I was like, oh, I'll just be happy. I'll just book a holiday now. I'll be happy when we go on holidays, Colm. I'll be happy, but I wasn't. And the decline, and it literally went from like, slowly from not being able to get out of the house to like the worst, like wanting to end it, wanting to say bye-bye and say I have had enough of this world. When I think about it now, it really upsets me to think I wouldn't be here with my family and my children, and to think that I was there on the verge of doing that, and only for Colm. And I'll never forget him for it. And he's my absolute world. And he literally saved me that day and brought me to the doctor and said she needs help. And he went up and she said she needs to be admitted to the hospital, psychiatric hospital. And I remember being inside the hospital, and when you go in, they lock you into this room. And I couldn't cope. I kept banging on the door. I need to get out. I need to just give me tablets. Just give me tablets. Just give me tablets. I need to get out. Screaming. And Colm sitting me down. Calm. It was just trying to calm me. Say, you're calm. I just give me tablets. Just give me tablets. So they said she has to stay. I didn't want to stay.
Was it in Limerick?
No, Ennis has one. But I didn't want to stay. And
do you think you wanted the medication to just shut it out?
Shut it out. I just wanted something. I just wanted someone to give me something, and my mind would settle. But I couldn't, like, if you went like, I'd be up. My anxiety was above in the ceiling. I just wanted to end things. I just said, the pain was so much that you'd be better off gone than deal with this pain of this anxious, this brain that wouldn't stop. And the brain, I'll always say it's just the most amazing organ, because you think you get away with going through trauma, but you don't. It's going to come up and it is going to attack. And I do think years ago, like, even with my own father, I don't know what happened to him as a child. Like, for him to actually do this, like, he probably is in the pub to quill something in him, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's why for me, like, I'm still, you know, I don't have much of a relation with him. I wouldn't ring him. I wouldn't speak to him any day. But if he was sick or in hospital, I would go down. I'd get what he needs, because I'm a human. I'm not going to do that. But I suppose when I went to the mental hospital, it wasn't fun. It wasn't the psychiatric hospital. It wasn't fun. And my mother-in-law is a psychiatric nurse. So she obviously knows the hospitals are so busy and full. And she just felt that she thought that I'd be better suited at home. So Colm took me out after 2 days, and he just promised, like, that he would literally sit and watch me and give me the medication. And he did that for weeks, sit and watch me and make sure that I remember I did try counselling, but you can't do counselling when you're so anxious, because it doesn't work. Like, 'cause I was catching hold of my. She was like, "You okay?" I said, "I feel like I'm getting a heart attack," and she's like, "No." And I did know I needed to talk to someone about my childhood and about my life, and it did take me a couple of goes to find someone that I loved. And we got 3 years of therapy. I did. sitting down, just talking, and it is hard. Therapy is hard work. If you have had trauma in your life, it's very hard. Like to talk about this thing that you know. Oh, my childhood was great. When I think about it now, I said I had an absolute rubbish childhood. Do you know, I didn't have a bed. I had nothing. We'd nothing. But you'd get over that part of it, but not to be, you know, beat up at night and the fear of God every day. And then obviously when it starts affecting your own person, like because it was affecting my home life, because Colm wasn't able to go out and have a drink with his friends because he'd come home and I'd be off, triggered.
Did you trigger? And not that he would,
Yeah.
because he's a remarkable man. But did you trigger? Was it something like, oh my God, he's come back from the pub, will he beat me?
Yes. Yeah, that was it. It was just the way he came in the door, and you know, he was a bit tipsy, and it just brought me back to that childhood where I was sitting there going, oh, is he gonna beat me? Is he gonna, you know, have the crack with me? Is he going to, you know, it just was, and we were there minding a newborn that we hadn't a notion of how he was meant to mind, like that. He was going to work during the day, he was going to come home and mind the newborn, and obviously mind us. Sure, we were all minding ourselves and trying to cope and trying to have some kind of a childhood with children on the road and stuff. Which we at school, sure, I was bullied so badly, and it just, I think you were just so, like, your mind, you were just not in the same place as other children, and they're happy-go-lucky. Like, I see my own kids now, and I look at them, like, oh, Cullen is 10, and, like, I said, imagine giving him a newborn and saying, there you go now, when you come home from school every day, you have to mind this, and you have to feed it, and you have to put it to bed. Now, me and my sisters thought it was a doll, sure. We were like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Like,
you changing nappies?
Oh, God, yeah.
9 years of age.
Making bottles, putting him to bed. We'd have to do it all. And I don't know if it was now, you'd be arrested. You'd be locked up if you just now, like, you'd be saying, this is, I mean, I wouldn't leave my child with a dog.
You'd have told us at the door.
Banging the door down, going.
And we're kind of laughing because it's so outrageous.
So outrageous.
What happened?
Yeah, so outrageous. How it was let. But we'd no option, and my mum had to work, so it was either that or starve, so we had to look after him. And, like, he ended up with special needs, so he's still alive. He's living with my dad. And, you know, that has its own problems then, obviously, because my dad is still drinking. And, you know, it really hurts me that Mam is gone, though, and he's still there. And she was such an absolutely amazing woman. And, like, even, like, she was just so good to the grandkids. Like, my father's no other grandkids, has no clue what they look like, what their names are, where they go to school, how many do we have, nothing.
That's so valid to feel that your amazing mother Eileen is gone.
Yeah.
Is it 5 years?
5 years. Today. She died 5 years today.
Oh.
But, like, I'm fine today. Like, I had a very bad week last week, and that's what I was talking about. Like, last week I was saying to people on my social media that I just was really bad last week, and then today I'm fine. And that's the thing. Just, you get triggered and your brain just decides to say, uh-oh. But yeah, it is like, and even, I mean, when I spoke about my loads of people said, oh, we'd offer you some therapy, grief counselling. I'm like, it's so hard, I think, to go back into therapy after being out of it for a while, because it's such, it can be very, I remember going through, in the following few days, you'd be so drained because these memories, and you're trying to bring the emotions up, and you're trying to, like he used to say, shout at him, and what would you say to him now? And, you know, all of this, and you're like, just trying to shout and trying to, but...
What would have been something that you would have wanted to shout at him, what to say to him?
Well, it was just to stop hitting us and stop drinking. And, like, if I look at my own husband now and I'm thinking, oh my God, you did anything like that to me, I'd be gone out the gap running. But like, I'm just so lucky that I have met someone that would mind me like that. Like,
And you know the way you were saying you don't know what happened in your own father's childhood, that what happened to you. And then there's you that went through so much trauma, but you're so protective of your beautiful children then.
it's about not continuing that cycle. And I think it's very important, and that you just don't continue it. And it can, like, you could have easily continued on. We're all of my family are very cautious of drink because of my dad. Like, he drinks every day. That's just the way it is. And he never hasn't, but it's not killing him. Like, he's still alive. Like, you have to wonder. You're thinking, what the hell? And we're all out working and minding our children, and I am, oh my God, those two boys I have, so protective. But I see, it's amazing, like, as I see my old boy Callum now, and he's just so happy and so himself. And I look sometimes on him and think, would I have been like that? That I lost so many years of my life not being my true self. I feel I am now, but I lost years of hiding and not being confident and afraid, where I'm thinking, it is like, I'm just so lucky that I have got where I am and did all the work I did on myself. And medication, like, I had to take medication. I'm still on medication. And I think for me, the dual approach worked, in a sense, medication and hospital. And the therapy, I had to do them. And it's just what works for everybody. But
Can you remember a time in your childhood laughing?
oh no, we never went on holidays. We never went anywhere. We went to Dunn's, I remember, in Limerick. That was where we would have, But I can't. That's mad when you say that, because I can't remember any time.
And looking back to that young girl, Caroline, what would you say to her now if you would say something to her?
I would just say that there's happier times ahead, and there's times where you will have a lot of joy and a lot of happiness and a lovely life. Like, my house now is full of animals, full of children, and full of laughter and joy. And I'm probably too much of an easygoing mother, and I let them away with murder, and they get everything they want. But my God, I won't be repeating what I had. I would prefer to go the other way and give them everything. But I mean, the joy, like, I get with them. And they were both IVF babies. We had to do IVF for both of them.
I didn't realise that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I couldn't have children myself. And so they were so wanted. And then when they came, I was like, oh, I probably was with Callum, sure, no one was allowed to mind him, take him, hold him. I was very protective of Callum because he was my first. But he's just he's literally like the two of them. They're absolutely now. I couldn't ask for better children.
When you found out that you had to do IVF, were you a bit sad that, again, it's something going against you that you couldn't conceive naturally?
Of course, and it is it's because you're trying for years, and you were saying, and I always wanted to be a mother. I don't know why that was. Was it to the right? What happened to me? Was it to me? Like they say, when you have a boy first, like it's true love, and it so is. Like boys are very affectionate, and like they give you the most amazing amount of love. And I mean, I remember when Callum was born, screaming, crying. The minute they put him into my arms, started crying, and from that second on, it was absolute, never letting him go, and it was just literally love. But no, we did. Listen, we were very lucky our IVF worked, and that's the big thing for me. It cost a bloody fortune to sell my car, and because I was like, no, I'll sell my car and I'll do IVF, because you just do those things if you really want children. And we have the two, and like I always said, oh, I'd love a girl, or but sure, listen, I'd say we'd be fighting over the bloody clothes. So at least the pies,
The makeup.
you don't be fighting with them over clothes anyway. But yeah, no, it is. It's because Callum, we 15 animals, and we have 90% of them are rescued. Callum is this thing about rescuing animals, and I just think I get such, because I'm like, we've rescued dog Cassie, and when I look into her eyes, I see myself. I see like this person that, was hurt. And she is literally, oh my God, she literally hugs you. She goes up and she puts her two paws around you. It's like we know we're on the same par, the two of us. And they always say a dog picks you, and she definitely picked me. And with Casper, we've miniature Yorkshire, like he's lovely, but there's just something about her. The love and the protection. Anyone comes next to near the house, the postman is frightened out of his life of her. She's so protective of me. But I think I took her out of a bad situation where she was getting abused
by the owners.
Yeah, by the owners, and they wanted to get rid of her. And I was like, I want to take her. And the two, it's just mad. We have this special little bond, and I love her. And yeah, she's just such a lovely dog. But we've lizards and chinchillas, and he'd be like, "Ma'am, this animal now needs rescuing." And
oh, I didn't realise that was the reason you had so many animals.
Yeah, that's the reason. Most of them are rescued. The few he's bought, but most of them are rescued. They're like, oh, sure, listen, he'd be coming with me to the sob stories. One time he was like, nope. I said, I'm not going up there in a rescue. And I said, we've no money to buy the cage. The next thing, he sold his Xbox, sold his watch, and came with me the money, and went up to CX, sold him, and said, there you go. There's the money.
And what did he buy with it?
He bought a big, huge cage for this iguana. So the iguana was the owners bought it and didn't realise it grows, and they didn't have the next cage, and so he bought this second-hand cage, and then I had to drive up and get the bloody thing. But yeah, and I just think, like, for me, like, looking on at him saying, he's looking after animals that are injured. He way prefers animals to humans.
He'll probably work in something with animals.
But sure, listen, I see he wants to be a zoologist. I said, you're already a zoologist. We already have.
You're up at Dublin Zoo.
Might as well open the door and charge a £5 coming in, like.
Yeah.
But when I ask him, I say, how's your life? Ma'am, just have the best life.
Oh my
and
God.
I'm just going, oh my God, imagine saying that. Imagine being able to say that. I mean, I just melt. I'm like, what? And I said, how would you have an amazing life? But sure, what do you have? I've all the animals I want. I can eat what I want. I can do what I want. And I don't have... But he's a very good 16-year-old. Like, he's not really one for discos. He'd prefer to have an animal on his shoulder now walking around the house.
Yeah.
But that's what he's happy doing. And I never pushed him. That's the big thing with me. I'm like, he was never going to do gas stuff. Never. The other fella's mad about it. Cullen, hurling, mad. Oh, Jesus, never leaves the hurley down. Last holiday, we'd post the hurley out to the hotel before we got there.
No, because you're not carrying luggage.
Well, if you go, we were kind of bringing carry-on. You can't bring the carry-on only if you put in the case. He's a fanatic, but he's just a real passion for it. Yeah. So it's great to see that side of him. But yeah.
And you were saying there, it's great to see that side of him. The balcony chats and the couch chats, people saw the other side of Caroline when it came to that. And that's the Caroline I wanted to chat to today, because the persona, and we're all wearing a mask, we're all performing every single day, me included. But I think the deeper level of Caroline, you probably shocked people, as in, there's so much depth to you. Because again, it's all the crazy, Casa, everyone does it. But the balcony chats and the couch chats, really, people seen a different side to you. And they adore Cullen.
Oh, yeah.
Like they adore, like my mother adores yourself and Cullen's chats. She's not even one big for social media, but they seen the different side to you. One thing I want to ask you before I chat more about that was, are the boys aware of your childhood, what happened?
Yeah, they are.
Did they feel sad for you?
Oh yeah, they'd be shocked, like they'd be literally, because we brought him into the house and we brought him upstairs and we were like, yeah, that's where did you sleep, ma'am? And I was like, I didn't have a bed, and they're like, what, a bed? And I was like, no, we just found somewhere. And where's the? They were flabbergasted, like, because they obviously have their own rooms, have their own bed, and they just wouldn't understand how you wouldn't have these simple things in life that you'd need for life. But they'd be very, very surprised when I tell them. Now sometimes Cullen goes, "Well, Mom, cry about it." I'm like, "Oh, I'll kill you." But they do understand like how difficult it was for me, and then they know that Colm did have a nice life, and he had the comforts of home, and he understands, like, and he tries to understand in my life, and it is hard for him because he just has never experienced it. So, but I think like for me, it does keep me grounded in a sense of how poor we were, because I'll always know I'll make out no matter if I have twopence, and I think that's a good thing. And I think for myself, even on social media, like I want to stay grounded, and I believe I've stayed grounded the whole time, in a sense that I'm not think I'm this big one. Like, I'm just somebody to have the chats to, like, I was just walking up there and I met a woman, and she was her first day out in a year, and she had cancer of the womb, and she got the womb removed, and she's fine now. But she said, my chats got her through like a lot of that year. And when I hear that, no amount of money will actually give me that. Like, Owen was with me, and Owen goes, "You're actually helping people, Caroline." And I was like, because I suppose Owen is normally used to people taking pictures of me, and I'm like, no, you get such lovely stories of people going, "Oh, you actually helped me through this part of my life," and I'm like, what? It just makes me so emotional when I hear those stories, and it helps me continue. Sometimes on social media you're like, oh, you're looking at views, you're looking at, oh, people gone off me, and that's normal. But then you meet people like that and you're like, oh, if you could help one person today have a happier life, why wouldn't you do it?
And no story views or no amount of Be Perfect sets you can sell will ever compare to that, what you got in the street today. It's
Oh, no.
It's not.
Absolutely never. Like, for some, I'm mad into manifesting. For that, to have that coming back to you is so massive. Like, and I'm always a big believer in helping people and being like, oh, I'll do that or I'll do that. And, Owen be like, oh, we should be charged here. And I'm like, no, because I got here from helping people that helped me. Like, there is some people out there that are just so amazing. They'll just help you. And they'll
unconditionally.
and they won't expect anything off you. I just think that, for me, I remember this girl, Aoife, she was on Instagram and I was only a small following, and she kept saying, Caroline, follow Caroline. And I just think, why are you doing this? She goes, I just love her content. And I'm like, but you're not getting anything back from it. But she didn't care. Can imagine people like that. Like, I just think they're amazing. And it's just, sometimes it's hard because you get into this there's a competition. When you're on social media, it's just competition. Sometimes you think, oh, I'd love to step away from it because it's so competitive. And then I'm like, okay, you're only competition with yourself, and you have to go back and get yourself grounded again. And when I'm at my worst points, I start going back and I start reading my book, The Magic. I think it's an amazing book.
Rhonda Byrne.
Yeah, it's
Brilliant.
just amazing. And it's little tasks every day, and it just brings you right back to the gratitude again and all your little steps. Because I read them all the time, but I have to be reminded constantly on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you forget. Like, I was even talking to one today, like, when we had our very first Casa launch last November, like, we basically sold out. And I said, imagine wasn't one bit grateful for that. And I think back, imagine not being grateful, where I suppose we were caught up on everything. And I said, anymore, I have to try and be present and say, okay, I'm going to be grateful for that today, that we could do that today, rather than your head just can go ahead and you forget.
Gratitude is the attitude.
Oh, it's massive, isn't it?
Oh, it's so important. I don't think people understand the importance of it. For me, and we're here talking about you, but for me, I wouldn't be in recovery without gratitude.
Really?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be doing this podcast with you without my gratitude, and that's a fact.
Wow.
That's a fact. So that's how important it is. But to bring it back to you, I want to bring up how you got into the social media, because everyone knew following you, the last year might think, oh, she must be at it for years, which is not the case. When after you had the breakdown, it's a mental breakdown.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You had a mental breakdown.
I had a mental breakdown.
Couple of years. What did you kind of go back working at? Because you were back working before the whole social media took off.
Yeah, I went back to work for a little while. My mum then got sick and she got motion neuron disease. So when she was diagnosed with that, we knew a very short lifespan. It was only a year from diagnosis. So I used to bring her up to Beaumont to all the appointments, and then I took time off work to mind her and to try and spend as much time as I could with her, because we knew things were not good. But I always had, even for years, I always had this itch to do something. I thought I'd want to do a shop. I always wanted to design clothes. And I said, maybe if I went into a shop, I'd started my own shop. And I went through even when I was with the counsellor, actually, he was like, what is it for you now? What is it for you? And he was like, you need to look at something. And I remember talking to Callum, my older boy, and I was like, oh, I'd love to do this. And he goes, just do it, ma'am. And I was like, what do you mean just do it? Just do it. What are you waiting for? And I used to think, wow, what? He's just an inspiration. And they drove me. They were like, do something for yourself, ma'am. And they literally were like pushing me to do something. So obviously my mum passed. And then, we had afterwards, you're just grieving and not knowing what to do.
Was it a year from diagnosis that she passed away?
Yeah, a year.
I can't believe it's that. Is it that quick for everyone who?
No,
it
depends on where it starts. My mother started in her arm, and it literally went up, and she lost everything. She couldn't. All she had was her eyes and her brain, and that's the hard thing about it, because you know what's happening. She was in hospice for 6 weeks, her last 6 weeks. We brought her home for 2 nights, and it was the toughest 2 nights of my life, because she couldn't move. We had to carry her, we had to drag her, we just weren't equipped for her. But she wanted to come home. She knew she was dying, so she was like, I want to come home to the house. I remember being inside, and she was inside in the bed, couldn't move, and my father came in. I was like, oh, I have pain here. What tablets will I take? I was like, give me a bloody gun. The selfishness of it. She's dying in the bed, but no. So he just, very hard to understand it. But she passed today, 5 years ago, and she was the biggest loss of ever. She was just like, if she was alive today, I'd say she'd have her own page, and I'd say she'd have surpassed me, because she I didn't lick it off a stone. She loved the tan, she loved the makeup, she loved the clothes. We were going away, she'd have clothes for the train, clothes for the toilet. She'd have an outfit for every day of the week. She was mad about clothes.
Elegant Eileen would be her page or something.
Oh yeah, she was unbelievable. So she would have loved it, but just after a little while, then after she passed, so about 3 years after she passed, I started social media 2 years ago. I started on TikTok. I started doing videos. I remember my first video was a hack. And I used to when I was on, I'd see videos on TikTok, and I'd be thinking, oh, you one viral video, you're famous. You were not. it's the work that goes into doesn't it? You know, Brenda, the work that goes in to try and build up a page of content is insane. There's no one video that'll go viral that'll give you loads of followers. It takes day in, day out. So started on TikTok doing a few videos. Then I used to do a Friday night live every Friday. And people still to this day say, when is the Friday night live coming back? So basically every Friday night, people used to wait for it.
And what were you doing in the live?
So with music on, I'd have a couple of drinks with them. They'd have their bottle of wine. Like, I wouldn't be able to see them. They'd be like, I'm just going for my bottle of wine for Caroline's live. And I tell you now that all the chats be coming up. We used to have the best time. It was just a way of reaching out to the community and being there. And they still talk about when's the live, and I'm like, I don't have time. But
yeah,
I started then. I started Instagram then about a year and a half ago. I said, sure, I'll go over to Instagram and see if I can get a few followers over here. And then sure, I thought now, right, Instagram, when I look at Instagram, I was like, oh, this is perfect now over here. There's no way they're going to accept this lunatic over there, because I was like, I was doing my hauls and trying on clothes, it didn't fit me. But my God, Instagram took me on like they didn't know anything what to do with me. They were like, what? Like, it was all pictures. I never put a picture up. It was all videos. They were like, what's this one about? But it took off, and it's just... I left my home this morning at 5:30, and I was even saying to Stone, I was saying that I've done loads of jobs in my life, worked in shops, I've done insurance, and I said, if I took up at 5:30 for any job, I'd be saying, oh God. This morning, jumped out of bed. The joy I have doing what I do is insane. Like, I love doing it. Like, I always looked at my husband loves his job. Absolutely loves it. And I used to look at him going, oh, I'd love to have a job I love. But I tell you, businesses are the hardest thing you'll ever do. But I love it. I absolutely love what I do now. And I just think if you can find that, do it. Just like, as my children said, do it, ma'am. And Callum often says to me, I'm so proud of you, ma'am. What have you achieved it all in 2 years? I was like, I don't know. And he's like, I just can't believe it.
He is remarkable. He's
just like, what have you done? And I'm just saying, it's just, oh, sure, it's just gone mad, and it's amazing. And like that, meeting that woman today means more than any money. I met this other woman in the Marina Market one day, and she came up to me and she was crying. I was selling Casa down there, and I was talking to her, and she said, you've just no idea. I said, why? And she said, my sister passed away a couple of months ago, and she said she'd only 2 weeks left to live. She was in hospice, and she said, I didn't know what to talk to her about, because she'd only 2 weeks. What do you say to someone that has 2 weeks left? But she said, I followed you, so I showed her you. Every day, she said, I'd go down. She said, what's Crazy Carolyn up today? And she said, that woman laughed until the day she died because of you. I mean, I actually will never in my life forget that story, no matter what. And when I get hatred, when I get bad stuff said about me, I'll always look back at that and say, that woman went down laughing and saying, what is she up to today? I just think it flabbergasts me to think that I do that for people. I bring joy to people, or I bring laughter. I don't think we laugh enough as Irish people anyway. I think we love bad news and we love looking at the bad side. But for me to be able to do that for someone, wow, I mean, Jeannie Mac.
To be able to make someone laugh is a gift.
Oh, a gift. I just think it's just amazing to think.
Because when you laugh, there's no better feeling in the world. And if someone's made you laugh, and then you're making other people, especially when they're that sick. And the whole thing as well, Caroline, this took off in your 40s. So for anyone who thinks, oh, it's too late, I mean...
Not at all. And do you know what? The big thing about it is when I started off on TikTok, I was trying to be a bit younger than I was. I was trying to say, trying to look. But then after a month or two, I was like, no, be your true self. And when I started being my true self, that's when I started growing. And I wasn't pretending. And I think there's like people, oh, well, look at the granny on social media talking about me. There's room for absolute, like when you think about it, everyone's on social media, no matter if you're, 16 or 66, everyone is on it. So why wouldn't there be room for people? Everyone. I think there's room for everybody. There's room for everybody in this world. Like there's a granny in America. She's a nursing home actually, and she's a couple of million followers.
Does she do the ones about the dating?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the funeral. Oh, I'm picking
brilliant.
my out for my funeral, and I just get the greatest laugh out of her. She is just, and I'm just thinking, fair play to you, girl.
Yeah.
But if you talked, like, I think talking to old people is so lovely, and they just really have a different view of the world. And anyone that is passing, they just have a different view. And all, like, when my mum was dying, and she didn't say, oh, I want to go to a Dare Manor, or oh, I'd like to do this. She wanted to be able to go up town and have a cup of coffee. And that was as simple as that. She wanted to go out to the Hinch and look into the sea. Like, we don't value the little things that we do in our lives at all. We just be like, oh. And those are the things you actually miss. It's not like going out and buying a Louis Vuitton bag. It's not. It's the little things you'll miss that you can do. There's a charity in Ennis at the moment, and I've tried to help them so much and do different things for them. But they're a nursing home and a hospice. They're trying to raise money at the moment to buy a bus. They want to bring all the patients up to the beach for the day. People that have that in their dying wish to say, I want to see the beach. And it just melts my heart. And I'm like, whatever you need me to do, I am there to do it, because I just think those kind of things, like to think that those people, that's their wish to do it. And if they can't, I don't know, what's the point? Like, if you can't have that small wish, they don't want to go to New York, like, they want to go up to the sea to look in and go, wow, this is life. But on my happiest days, obviously I love what I'm doing now. I love Casa and I love what I'm doing, but like, I do get so much joy out of the sea. I absolutely love the sea. Do you go to the sea?
I don't go into it, but I understand
the
whole, like, there is a certain serenity by the sea.
Oh, there is.
There is.
I love it.
The sea air. I don't ever kind of, since I don't live near enough to it. To go in.
I started doing it now when my mental health was bad. Like, I started going in. I'd read up that it was really good for, like, your dopamine levels, and I started going in, and that was years ago, and I go in once a week now, and I go in November and December when it's Baltic. But I'm not going in doing Olympic swims. Like, I go and dip in, swim a little bit, back out. And it's like the biggest hit of dopamine. Your whole mindset. If I was in bad form now, I'd go to the sea.
I met someone yesterday, and she had come back from a sea swim in Fountainstown. And she said, Brenda, I've never done any drugs in all of my life, but I would say that this is what it feels like to do drugs, like a drug, a higher kind of dopamine hit drug that you take. She said, I think this is what it must be like.
They say it is, though. They say the dopamine level is strong, but it's long lasting, because it lasts all day when you do that swim. Your brain just does, I don't know what it does. Like, I prefer it in the winter. Like this, now it's a bit mild. I do go in, but like, I was always trying to convince my husband, please go. And he was like, no. So about a month ago, I said, listen, we're going up to the sea and you're coming. I said, it'd be great for your head. Brought him up anyway to lunch, and straight away went in and bought a hoodie. I said, this doesn't look good now when you're buying hoodies. I said, come on, like. So he went down, he was shaking anyway. Can't get him out of the sea now.
See?
Diving. He's like, how wasn't I doing this all my life? I'm like, I know. And like, my therapist, like when I was doing therapy, I told my therapist to start it, and he started it, and he's like, anywhere I can go to, a lake, he said, I'll go into anywhere to get this feeling of this dopamine, of this, it's just refreshes. Like, I do it with my sister every week. We go up to the sea, we go in for a dip, and then we go and have coffee and a bun. And I tell you now, it's like a dream. It's so amazing when we do it together. And it's amazing that we can and that we're both here. And it's just our little happy place that we go to.
That you at that time when you're having your coffee and your scone, there's probably nowhere else in the world you'd want to be.
Absolutely. Sitting there and you're just like, wow. And like Desta said, the best things in life are free. They bloody are.
Yeah.
I would just ask, if anyone hasn't done it, try it. I was talking about it on my page, going, please try the sea. And even I really want to do like a charity dip and have everyone go in and see. And the minute you go in and come out, you'll go, what the hell just happened? But it's meant to be so good for your health, so good for your blood pressure. There's so much goodness that you can get from the sea, from sea swimming. Like I started in the wetsuit and I just go in the togs and you do be cold, but it's always so worth it.
I've never heard of anyone who's ever regretted doing it.
No.
Before we finish up, I've 3 questions to ask you, but we need a quick chat about.
Oh Jesus!
We'll just mention it. We'll set the record straight. We'll say maybe a year ago this would never have happened. No. There was never such falling out, but
no.
My old podcast I was doing, we had asked you to be a guest on it, right? And we weren't making an awful lot from the operas. You know how expensive shows are.
Well, I know now. I'm like, it's just you can't make money on them. They're so hard.
You lost money on shows.
I lost money on Cork. Yeah, I lost money my last year. That's why I can't do any more at the moment. Yeah. They're just too expensive.
I'm trying to put in a small show for my own podcast. Right. I don't think I could do it because I want to keep the tickets low.
Yes.
And then I actually said to someone, I goes, look, I'll just put it, I'll go into debt for it. And they're like, what are you joking? Because, but I still want to do, this is behind the scenes, real. And people think that you're really, didn't rake you, didn't
No.
You're not. But anyway, so you would agree to come on the show. We were delighted to have you. We were crazies coming on. And I didn't know the other side of you then. And that's because you didn't know the other side of me. We didn't really know each other. You were new on the scene.
Yeah.
So I was a bit like, we'll get her on. She's a mad old thing. And then we had said, no, in fairness, hands up, we didn't offer a fee.
No.
Because we didn't have it.
Yeah.
But in fairness, on your side as well, you actually had bought tickets for our show.
Yeah, I did.
You?
I bought tickets to go to see these.
No, we were putting you up in a hotel.
Yeah.
Right? But then, in fairness, you were so excited. You put it up and you were you sold tickets for us.
Yeah.
Selling tickets. And that was the Thursday night or Friday night. And then things turned, we'll say, was it the Sunday or the Monday?
Yeah.
What happened then? You can fit that in.
Well, firstly now, what I saw on that other person's page, they were like, oh, we might get Carolyn to do a striptease or something like that. And then I got a little bit uneasy. I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this. Like, I'm married 20 years. I'm like, I'm not sure. Like, and then I was like, okay. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to hit these ones now with a fee because, you know what? I'm going to see, obviously make money and then, but yeah, I hit him with $2,000.
That's the amount, right?
No, I would have settled it less. Like
we didn't know that, right?
Yeah, but because when you go out to, you always go higher, and then you'll settle way less. But it wasn't taken well.
Well, I suppose from our view, it was we were putting you up in a hotel.
Yeah.
Hindsight, we should have offered, but we weren't making much out of it. We weren't even making $2,000 ourselves.
And you know what though? At the time, I was very new, and I didn't realise how much a show. And I agree. And like all the people out there listening are agreeing to it. All they see is 500 tickets by whatever. That's what you're making.
But we even had to pay for the 2 microphones we were using on stage in that venue. They had to rent the other microphones and bring them in for the Opera House don't even own the mic. Some of the mics, if you need extra, they need paying. But anyway, I remember the text went in, girls, I'm going to need payment or something like that. And I remember it was like a Monday or Tuesday. It was roasting in London as well at the time. I think it's around this time, actually, a year ago. And I was kind of like, how much is she looking for now? 500 or so? Yeah. And then I seen €2,000. Yeah. And I was like, Jesus Christ. So of course, we were shocked. We were like, I suppose, it was like, who's this one thing she is?
Yeah, you did.
You
You
know?
know, few followers.
You know, and then I suppose discussions went on.
war,
and
yeah.
I suppose I was like, who the hell is this one thing she is? And then it was kind of like, we did offer you money.
Yeah.
We did offer, I think it was at 500.
Yeah.
And then I think it came to the 500. You said no, and it was like, well, that's off, because we were making very little ourselves from it. And then things went up. Then after put up that we announced that you weren't doing the show, I myself just said in a way, look, Caroline, she's unfortunately can't do the show, and I put it up. We can't afford her. We can't afford her. That was my mentality of it. In my hands up, it was a dig at you that you were looking for too much money. And I was like, we can't afford her. No, we can't. And I remember saying I should find the story actually and play it because it'll be in the archive. So make sure everyone follow her. She's brilliant. She's brilliant. I was coming down from a run. But I was still like, who does she think she's looking for $2,000 off us? And you put up then on your page the
refunds.
You were like,
I had some neck behind it.
You did. When we saw the refunds, I was like, who's this one thing she is? She went from Thursday putting up her own hotel and she delighted for the exposure to looking for $2,000 on the Monday. I was like, the neck for it. No, we didn't realise you'd stop at 1,000. If we knew that, we'd probably do 750.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
But wait, I suppose business minded now, not the best. And then I suppose it's not that we didn't even know each other, but it was kind of like I had an idea of you probably had an idea of me. And then look, a couple of months ago, kind of it was like, look, this went on. I may have said this, I may have said that. And here we are. Water under the bridge, and we're laughing at it.
This is it. And when I look back at that, I'm proud of myself, but because I believe, like, obviously I would have settled for less, but I suppose I'm a big thing of, and manifesting is all about that, is knowing your worth and knowing your value, and that, you're important and you have to be. I suppose I had done shows before and with other people, and I'd done them for free. But not even a steam off their piss did they give you. And, you felt hurt by it, that you put in work and then you didn't get anything from it. And then I suppose, I didn't regret this. I didn't regret it. I was kind of like, do you know what? You made that call. Now, it did affect me in a sense. I was like, oh, okay. Like I was widow one day and I didn't have a manager. I had myself and trying to deal with my own little thoughts going, am I right or wrong or what? But no, do you know what? It was great that we got in touch and we're friends now, and I think it's so lovely because even I was listening to a podcast that Brenda was in yesterday, and I just learned so much about you, and I just think you're just amazing. Like what you went through and what you've achieved so far. I mean, you really have the comeback is massive from Brenda, and I'm all here for it, and I just think it's brilliant. Like just to hear what you went through, it's just massive. Like, and fair play to you for coming back and doing all of this, and and it's hard doing it alone. I did my podcast alone last year. It is hard. It's hard to keep talking.
It's hard, and there's a cost with it, and the hour, and people don't see it. There again, people think she's raking it in there. Little do they know, raking into debt. But it's like that woman who came up to you on the street, and I get messages of how much the podcast helped, and I'm like, I need to keep going.
Yeah,
I need to keep going. There's this special community being built here, and it's helping people I don't even know. It's not me helping them, it's the guests helping them. You'll have helped so many people today. And you know what I love about today, Caroline? You weren't crazy Caroline, you were Caroline Rushe.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much about you. I had no idea about the mental breakdown. I had no idea about your father beating you. I had no idea about the IVF. And I think people will see, not people, of course, so many people know you, but even some of your followers they'll see you in a whole different light, and it'll only add even more value to yourself, if anything.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think these kind of podcasts are very important.
Yeah.
But you're playing a massive part in them. You're here, you're interviewing people. You're playing a massive part in it. And I think it's amazing because people will see other people and go, oh, you think, oh, she's it all got together. But I far from have it all got together. You wake up, some days you're doubting yourself, and But I think for myself, it's all about, you know, looking on, and like when my mum watched her taking her last breath, I mean, I'll never forget it. And I just think looking on saying, when I don't give out about small things now, or I don't say, I say, sure, listen, it's just anything that happens, even in our business with Owen, I'm like, that's grand, because it's not a lot worse. There's a lot worse around than that. You know, a mess up on order, losing loads of money, but you know, it doesn't all fixable.
And do you know what I always say? If it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend 5 minutes worrying about it.
Exactly. But no, I hope I've helped people. And
You have.